And that course ended up doing very well. I think it wasn't was it a year? Was it 18 months? And then you won the Two Comma Club award for
Yeah,
that,
it was
generating over
like,
$1 million.
I think we launched the beta in like November 19, and then January 21, it crossed the million. So yeah, like 14 months or whatever that is, 15
Yeah,
months.
that's incredible. Congratulations
Yeah.
on that, especially
Thanks,
being your
man.
first product. That's pretty impressive. So before we get into like kind of what happened from there, I kind of want to look for a pattern here. I'm big on patterns.
Yeah.
Not just in marketing, not just in business, but in life. And if you can identify things that are true across the board,
Yeah.
then you can kind of use those as tools to find success in other locations. So as we look at your journey from starting promoting ClickFunnels behind the scene, then going into legendary marketer more publicly, and then the big launch with the $100,000 day with the Tony Robbins Dean Graziosi knowledge broker business or whatever. I think they've changed that name like 4 different times, so it's kind of hard for me to pinpoint that down. And then
Yeah.
into your own course, what are some patterns with your marketing specifically
Mm.
that you can identify as things that just continue to work, or the 20% of activities that gets 80% of the results, or just anything that you can kind of find that's congruent across everything that
Yeah.
has brought you success?
Yeah. I'll touch on a couple of non-marketing things, and then we'll talk on the marketing stuff. I think the one of the big ones is what we just touched on in terms of like setting that one goal. Because I did that again with SAA. I was like, dudes, let's make this the two comma club. And there's a post on my profile from like October 19, and I've just shared a photo of like the little trinkets and stuff that I've kind of accumulated at that point, and it says next stop question mark 2cc. And so it was like that was the goal, and we just did it again. It was the same thing that I'd done 3 times, 4 times at that point. So that's like the ultimate life hack to me when it comes to achieving things, is just pick that one thing. And it sounds boring, it sounds simple, but most people don't do it ever. Um, so that's definitely a common thread, and I still use that to this day, and I encourage my clients to do the same thing. Um, I think the other common thread is like brutal consistency. There's been very few periods going back to when I launched the group in 2018 where I haven't been posting nearly daily, aside from where life's thrown me a couple of curveballs, like when I got sick. I went through a relationship breakup after like 10 years, just tough times in life when sometimes you have to step back. Aside from that, it's been like nearly daily for 5 years, right? Just sharing the story, sharing the journey, sharing the lessons, and I guess this flows into marketing, right? I guess it's a mindset lesson in consistency, but it's also a marketing lesson. I don't have a big audience. Like my audience, if you added up the group, the profile, little YouTube channel, email list, it's maybe 20, 25,000 people. And that's if they were all paying attention, which they're definitely not, right? And so it's a tiny audience, but it's yielded, I don't know, probably north of $4 million at this point. Um, and I think that a big part of that is because through that ruthless consistency, they've seen the evolution, or if they join new, they can go back and see the evolution of this guy that went from, being in the office, literally running home on his lunch break to do lives and talk about SEO and blogging in 2018. Like I literally still had my suit on because I'd come from the office. The whole life evolution to where things are now, and I'm really grateful and lucky where they are now. But I think through that consistent sharing of the story every day, you just bring people along on such a powerful journey, and it means that people buy from you again and again and again, and the people that you work closely with stick around for a really really long time. Like I've got inner circle clients and one-to-one clients that I work with for years, which is pretty unheard of in the internet marketing game. People are usually pretty like in and out. So I guess if you want to distill that down into a lesson, which comes from my corporate days in a big way, is your biggest asset is going to be your relationships, right? Relationships are everything. And people will go, well, that sounds simple, but that's what your content is doing. It's building relationships at scale. is the way that I look at it. And if you think about brand for me is just the collective of the relationships that you have with your audience. So, because what is a brand? Brand is what we think about: a product, a service, a collection of those things, a person, whatever. And so when you add up all of those thoughts from everyone in your audience, the reputation that you've built, that is your brand. And so when I think about brand, I think about relationships at scale, and how you build that is through your content. So that's been another really key part for me. More recently, in the last kind of couple of years, it's learning, and I guess taking that component one step further, which is you can make your life really easy if your content does a good job at pre-selling, right? If your content is very generic and like you just share stripe screenshot, you might be like attracting people who go, hey, I want to make that money too, but they've got no idea about any other details other than that. They're not educated, right? And that's where people get stuck in really drawn out sales processes. They have to do really long sales calls. They need, webinars. They need all this other stuff. Whereas 90% of our business now is done through a couple of text messages. And I'm not talking small stuff. Like this is $20, $30, $40, $50,000 deals with a couple of texts, because the marketing is doing all of the heavy lifting. So I think through that consistency and through that sharing that journey, learning, hang on, I can take a lot of the weight off the sales process in the business if the marketing, aka the pre-selling, does the heavy lifting in its place. And I prefer to put the weight there because it's leveraged, right? Your marketing goes out one to many, it goes out to thousands of people in an instant. I can write a post, I can share it everywhere. I'd rather put the weight, and it compounds on certain platforms, I'd rather put the weight there than on a one-to-one sales process.